Well, they call the apex the stone that the builders refused. But you'll find the pyramids showing up in Austin all around. Or like the triple pyramid of Adidas. Or the eye in the pyramid of American Online. With the Eye of Ra, AOL, Time Warner, Freemasons, magicians. Think you're starting to see who owns things. But what goes on under that golden capstone? Well, it's not surprising to me that this brotherhood often seeks the light, worshiping the sun. You see here, the sun is, the symbol is a certain point within a circle. Same symbol on target. Or the rising sun of Frito-Lay. Well, it's said in the Bible, let him who have ears to hear, listen. This means there's a coded message. Let's see if you can figure out the coded message in this speech.
Oh, as the framers were crafting our Constitution, Benjamin Franklin was often seen in Independence Hall, looking at a painting of the sun low on the horizon. When at long last the Constitution finally was signed, Mr. Franklin said, I have often wondered whether that sun was rising or setting. Today I have the happiness to know it is a rising sun. Well, 2 centuries later, we know the sun will always rise on America as long as each new generation lights the fire of freedom. Our children are ready. So again, the torch is passed to a new century of young Americans.
Young Americans. If you noticed, all these Freemasons wear aprons. This one's George Washington's. If you see the 5-pointed star sitting there, and down below, the skull and bones. This was a symbol of the Templars, which is now a degree within Freemasonry. If you know anything about Templars, you know that they were into gold and arches. But it became illegal to be a Templar, and on Friday the 13th, 1307, they had to run. They were killing them all off, the Pope and the King. So they took to Ireland and started the York Rite of Freemasonry, and they took to Scotland and started the Scottish Rite. They also took to the seas, still flying their Templar skull and bones, and still after the gold. But yet another Templar symbol is the double cross. I shouldn't have to explain that one, but you also shouldn't be surprised to see it here on Exxon. Because Masonic logos show up through corporate America and the world. They're all over. Take the compass square with the G, for example. Now, if you see here the camel standing between 2 pyramids with the Great Pyramid missing. Well, if you remember, the Kabbalah has to do with Hebrew, and the Hebrew letter G means camel. Or Philip 66. 66 in the Magician's Dictionary is known as the number of the Qiploth, or the Great Work. Oh, these are 2 different things, I hope. The Qiploth are known as the fallen angels. Definition, shades of the dead whose names appear in the Book of Thoth or the Book of the Law. They may contain formula of magical powers, the souls of those that died insane. Complete understanding could result in the destruction of the ego and therefore lead to actual madness. Or the Great Work, symbolized here by the eye floating above the pyramid. But the Great Work is noted below. It says Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new order of the secular age, or the new order of the age of irreverence, or without God. If you look, the Hebrew letter V equals 6. So if you translate this, 66 will become VV. or we know, W. I don't know why we call it a W when the rest of the world calls it a double V. I'm definitely not surprised to see a wing W. Or the VW, where if you look at it, you'll see that it's actually two V's interlaced. This denotes the original 66, being the number of the great work, or the fallen angels. But he crossed it, making a third V equaling 666 in his magical Kabbalism. As Hitler knew he was an Antichrist. But does Dodge? Demons. Well, it always goes back to the Freemasons. I like to point out to any ladies who are a member of the Eastern Star that it does say fatal inside that inverted pentagram. Even the streets at the White House and the streets of Congress are inverted pentagrams. These are the actual street plans. Could it be we're in connection with demons from outer space? But of course the five-pointed star is nothing new. In Austin you see it everywhere. No matter where you turn, no matter where you look, there it is. So what is it with this symbol? It shows up on the tanks of China. Even shows up on the jets of Russia. Seems that if we call them an enemy, it shows up on their flag. Here we have North Korea, or 3 on the Iraq flag. But to the grand elect, perfect and sublime Mason, this five-pointed star has a definite meaning. It is a symbol of a star cluster known as Sirius, and they call it the blazing star. It's a symbol of Sirius and the sun. The blazing star will show up on the floor of every lodge and an occasional crop circle. Perhaps the blazing star of Russia, because this is a global conspiracy. So it shouldn't surprise you to see a company named Sirius that has a five-pointed star. Did I mention that Sirius is the dog star? But this gets ingrained into our society, and we end up with their symbols all over us, never even realizing that they might have a hidden power that's being used against us. Well, Manly P. Hall gives us yet a different definition of the five-pointed star. He tells us that our flag was designed by a strange old hermit known only as the Professor, and that he put the five-pointed star on there to symbolize man's manipulation of the real world, where the top point symbolizes his head and the other 4 his arms and legs. So therefore the stars on the flag denote the state's ability to manipulate its own reality. Aleister Crowley, he also said that every man and woman is a star. This made him famous. And this made Da Vinci famous. So you see here the head with the 4 points, making the five-pointed star. What is this about? What is this doing? Well, the Oxford English Dictionary defines the pentagram or five-pointed star as a tool used in necromancy to call down foul fiends and demons. And he even mentions people like Sir Francis Bacon and King Solomon. Just who do you think we're calling on here? So back to the demons. Five-pointed star. Could it be that our sports teams are demonic? Or perhaps Charlie Tuna is demonic? Certainly cheerleaders are the most unchristian thing I can think of. They dress up in their skimpy little outfits and dance and prance in front of you. And they tell you to hate, kill, and destroy your neighbor. And if I know one thing Jesus said, he said, if anything, love thy neighbor. And these girls will have you beating each other up. Well, the first professional cheerleaders were, of course, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and back to the five-pointed star. Even the name Dallas is a Hebrew letter, D, and it means door, and is a symbol of the goddess. Or the Hebrew letter R, as shown here on this Freemason ring, is a symbol of the sun in Kabbalism. Sam Walden certainly was a Freemason, and when he told you he was taking care of travelers, well, travelers is a code word for Freemason. And you can bet there are Black Masons too. It's called the Prince Hall Lodge. They were established back in 1787 to fight in the war. Where you see the Knight of the Sun, a Freemason degree symbolized by the five-pointed star. Well, On is the city of the sun in Egypt. You're starting to get the picture here? What is it with the magician and his star? Is he up to good or bad? We'll talk about her next week. But definitely, if you come across a five-pointed star, not far behind will be the Freemasons. So be it a winged disc with a pentagram and an oblong square, or perhaps a pentagram sitting upon a truncated pyramid, or a pentagram on a cube, or the sun rising behind a pyramid. Could be aliens. But when you see the original sin, you know the magicians aren't far behind. And they're here in Texas, helping one another, keeping their eye on things. Well, all I can say is welcome to Earth from the Freeman perspective. Check in next week when we discover Columbia's connections with Lucifer. Thank you. Good night.
Turn the hunger into life, turn the wrong into right, put an end to the strife, turn the blindness into sight, save a human life, make the world turn around, make the world turn around, make the world turn around. I wanna live in the world of gladness. I wanna